Okay, hey guys. So I am back, literally back to back to back interviews. I got three interviews today, and here is the second. So we are. So anyway, so yeah, to my left is Josh, and Josh, like, why don't you very briefly, in like about 10 seconds or less, introduce yourself really quickly.
Hi, I'm Josh Ventura. I'm Filipino, if you were wondering, and yeah, I'm an actor also.
Cool, awesome. Well, you heard it from him first, everyone. He is an actor, and he has a lot of very interesting things to say. But before we do that, I'm going to play this intro. Thank you very much. Okay, so thank everyone for sticking around. So, like I said, a very special guest, Josh. So, Josh, I know that you're actually, this is kind of an interesting interview because we haven't actually worked on anything together yet. Right, like we're scheduled to do a shoot next month, but then due to certain circumstances and whatnot, it had to be pushed back to next year. So, that will for sure happen next year, and then everyone will get to see the awesome work that we've all done at that point. And yeah, so like I said, this being the AMBW channel, we like to do all things AMW related here, and one of them being the short films. So which is why I got in touch with Josh, and I ultimately cast him for the lead role. um so on that note, Josh, can you tell us a little bit more about your background in acting, and sort of what prompted you to try to become an actor in the first place?
Um, this is actually interesting because it kind of deals with like growing up in like the Asian culture. I well, at least from my experience, growing up in the Asian culture, I never really was in tune with my emotions. Like I feel like, I came from like a culture that kind of just wanted you to do what the parents said. I couldn't really speak my mind or speak back too much. I mean, I could, but not as much as I should, at least I feel like. And that created this inability to be able to like socialize effectively in the real world. And I found acting as a like like a vehicle to be able to overcome that. To me, it's like a self-development journey. Just you're bettering yourself every time after every piece of work, after every class, after every critique. And at the same time, gives me the chance to exercise all my emotions on a very, very deep level. And the reason why I love that is because emotions, in my opinion, is what helps people connect to other people.
Wow, that's a very deep answer. Um, honestly, and don't take us the wrong way at all. I was not expecting that kind of response because, like I said, I have interviewed actually quite a few actors on this channel already, and typically, this is no shade or anything to them, but typically, like the common responses, you know what I mean, like it's because they're very passionate, right? Like it's just like maybe they saw a movie or performance that sort of inspired them to do the same thing. And for you, it's really interesting because your answer, like I said, was very unexpected. Your answer was more sort of very blunt and very honest, and especially about sort of in regards to what I mean, like your relationship, with like Asian culture and different customs and whatnot. That's very interesting. So yeah, thank you for being very very honest, very transparent about that. Um, so let's start on that note. I just want to have a topic. So, what is your favorite film, and what would you say is your favorite performance? It could be from any sort of film, whether modern, from the past, or even foreign film.
I'd have to say um, one that a lot of people might know is Edward Scissorhands. Johnny Depp's my favorite actor for the reason being of his creativity. He's just so fearless and like, putting himself out there and his vulnerability and what he wants and what he thinks is right, which is not always the easiest thing to do, to speak your truth and like be as transparent as possible. There's that fear of judgment, and that's why I respect him. And that movie specifically, I like it because it's the first movie I've seen of him when I was a kid, and I just fell in love with it. So it's kind of nostalgic for me.
Wow, no, very interesting. Um, so Josh, you seem like a very introspective person, very thoughtful person, and so what would you say? I guess would be my next question. I guess if you could sort of like sum up your personality, right, in like 5 words or less. Actually, no, let's just say like 5 keywords. I'm sort of. I know this is kind of like a impromptu question, so I apologize. But just just 5 words to describe your personality for everyone, including myself, because everyone watching, I'm being honest, I have never met Josh in person yet. We haven't done anything together yet. With the short film shoot got pushed back, so I'm just like you. I'm just meeting this guy for the first time, talking to him for the first time, basically. So Josh, just introduce yourself. Who is Josh Ventura? You know.
You said 3 words? Is that what you said? Five. Five. That's a lot. Oh, okay. Quiet, mysterious, introspective, fun, quiet, introspective, fun. Was that three? That was three. Um, Social and empathetic.
Hmm. And see, I think that's really important. Thank you for that, by the way. I think it's really important because I feel like for those people watching who don't have a lot of exposure to Asian people, and particularly Asian men, right? Like they might just sort of like basically whatever they perceive from film and TV, which most of the time is very negative and it's very sort of like pigeonholes Asian men in a very stereotypical negative way. I think it's important to sort of just do what you did and basically just describe yourself as just a normal everyday guy. You know what I mean, with different facets to
Yeah.
yourself and to your personality and whatnot. And that's part of the reason why I want to do this channel is because I wanted to sort of help basically portray Asian men in a more positive light. You know what I mean? Like in a more sort of, I guess, quote unquote, desirable or what I mean, like sort of down to earth portrayal, basically. Because I feel like Hollywood has definitely slandered, sort of damaged the image of us in the media, and so it doesn't seem to be getting better anytime soon. But what are your thoughts on that, Josh? I mean, how do you feel as though the media portrays Asian men, and what I guess like your goals? How would you say that they align with sort of what I mean, like the current portrayal and yeah, just all that stuff.
Like I feel like yes, that's true. What you just said is true, and a part of the reason why I went to the acting world also was to also, kind of start a revolution and fight that. But being in it, I've realized there already is a revolution, and I realized that, um, you know, the normalization of Asian men and in the culture is starting to get bigger and bigger and overtake, like those stereotypes of Asian men. It's just pure entertainment. I really feel like that's why they pick on that. It's because like, people think it's funny or like it's just a shock factor thing. But I'm seeing like a lot of, like leading Asian men now, um, coming up in the Hollywood game. So it's very respectable and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And stuff like what you're doing on, channels like this is like continuing the process of, bringing us all up. And when I say us, I mean Asian men, of course.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. Well, yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, I absolutely do believe that, Asians that are involved in, the entertainment industry and the media and stuff like that, whether in front of the camera or behind the camera, have a part to play. And I mean, while I don't think that that should be the main reason why they want to get involved necessarily, I do believe like it should be a part of it. You know what I mean? Given, like you said, given the current state of things, things are changing, but they're not changing sort of fast enough ultimately. And
Yeah.
so, with movies like, like the God, what's the name of the Marvel movie that came out? I've mentioned it already.
Shang-Chi?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yes, I don't know why if that slipped my name, but it's on my mind. But yeah, so that's a good example, and I feel like I've sort of at first I was kind of I was sort of against the idea because I felt as though that movie was kind of, you know, sort of like mooching off of the stereotype of Asians, doing martial arts and all that stuff, which is sort of the whole point
Mm,
of the character, basically. But at the same time, when I saw the movie, I was like, like the main actor, his character, like he wasn't like a fob, you know what I mean? He was just like an everyday
yeah.
normal guy, like living in San Francisco, but he wasn't, he if anything, he wasn't an overachiever, right? He wasn't like a nerd. He wasn't like a scientist or a mathematician. He was actually just underachiever, just working as a parking lot attendant. So I feel like it sort of goes both ways. You know what I mean? It sort of, yes, it does portray the typical stereotype, but at the same time, like the other facet of his character is that sort of like subverts all those like Asian stereotypes and whatnot about us. So sort of like give and take a little bit of compromise there. But no, man, yeah. So absolutely. So okay. So I want to sort of, obviously this is probably more for like the female audience here, since
Yeah.
most of my audience is female. So,
So now we're getting to the good stuff.
oh, absolutely. So, so you are Filipino, right? And
Yeah, that's
so
correct.
yeah. So, can you talk a little bit more about your culture and sort of, where you
Mm.
come from? I guess in that regard, like your upbringing, because I'm very interested to know, and I'm sure the audience will also be interested to know, sort of, you know what I mean, like how, like any specific incidents or experiences from your past or childhood that sort of shaped who you are, and like why you are, now involved in acting and whatnot, right?
Okay. I mean, like, do you, I could tell you about that, but do you want to know about what I think about the Filipino culture? Is that what you're
Oh
asking
yeah,
also?
sorry. Yeah, absolutely sorry. That yes. We're live still, guys. So no, but yeah, no, just yeah, so two parts. Number one, you just sort of give us, a brief summary, it doesn't have to be too long or whatever, about, like, growing up in the Filipino household, you know what I mean? Like just typically what was that like? I'm sure there are a lot of people watching that are interested to know more about that culture. So I guess
Okay.
what would be two things. It's just a brief overview. The second one would be like, what are your, I guess, let's say top three most memorable or more favorite things from that culture that you've grown up with?
Sure. Hmm. So to be honest, the Filipino culture is a very family oriented culture. Like we all stick together. If you know another Filipino person, like there's usually like this like spiritual bond or like bond that you can't see. It's kind of like a clique or something. But we're also, or from my experience, like the Filipino culture is also like very welcoming to other ethnicities. I think all that matters to them is if you're coming from a good place. So, that's the good thing that I have to say. But as I touched on earlier, I feel like the culture is more of like a very super logical culture where it's almost like I had to go out on my own journey to learn how to use my emotions as a tool to navigate through this world. Um, but I wouldn't say that's like every like Filipino person, like there's no absolutes, but the majority from my experience, it's that. Other than that, like I feel like people shouldn't really be separated by, ethnicities or race, this and that. I feel like my true thoughts about like everything, especially dating, is that it comes from the inside. I feel like if we're talking about why some Asian men can't relate to women of other ethnic groups, is because like everyone from like the women of the other ethnic groups or like the Asian men have their own insecurities that they're not fighting through or stating. And what's the insecurity? Is that you probably feel like you can't get that Asian guy, or you probably feel like the Asian guy only likes Asian girls, or the Asian guy probably feels like, that girl won't like him because he's Asian or something like that. So it's like all like inner thoughts. I feel like all people are the same. We have brain. We could use our emotions as a tool. Um, But yeah, so those are my thoughts about everything. So what led me to go on this journey of emotions was it's funny that we're even on this on this call because like so my history is that I did have a lot of insecurities as far as dating. I didn't feel like women from other ethnicities would like me. So I went out and I decided to avidly date and ask out as many women as possible, learn how to go through the process of dating, of approaching, of, like connecting, and then, going from there, solidifying a date and then getting to know the person and then hopefully building a relationship from there. Then I took it a step further and learned under some dating coaches on the process of, like attraction and dating and what creates that. And from that, I found that's where I realized, like, okay, so attraction isn't really separated by race or ethnicity or necessarily how you look. It's how you like portray yourself from the inside. So then I got so deep into it that I decided to want to take um, my skills and knowledge to teach also. So I started assisting as one of the coaches for the company that I was working with, and I loved it, but I realized like through that journey that that wasn't for me. There's something about that emotional journey that I liked, and that's what led me to acting. But I didn't. I felt like the dating coach thing wasn't necessarily for me because it just got a little bit too heavy for me to help other students. Though I still have that sympathy and empathy for other people. If they need help, I will help them, but I can't devote 100% of myself to that. But that's where I came from. So everything that we're talking about, I believe what you believe in that Asian men are just like any other men, black, white, you know, Indian, South Asian, Greek. It could be anything. We're all the same. It's just what you put out there and how vulnerable you can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Um, yeah, no, I 100% agree. I would say, it's very. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds very candid, very personal information. So I appreciate you for opening up about that.
Sure.
And well, what would you say? I guess since then, right? Since you've managed to what I mean, like sort of just like get started and get yourself out there. What are three big takeaways from acting, right? So far up to this point that you could say have made. Well, I'm trying to phrase this question. Yeah, basically, what are three big takeaways that you've learned so far that you've gained some sort of insight into the industry or about yourself, and sort of has it changed the way that you look at what I mean, culture or the world or anything like that at all?
Yeah, it's that people will respond negatively or positively to how you make them feel. And how you make them feel is a direct correlation to how you feel about yourself on the inside. So if you're a very insecure person, you're going to make the other person nervous or not comfortable around you because they don't feel safe. If you're a confident person to the core internally, you're going to make the other person feel safe no matter who it is, guy or girl.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. And I think it's great that you seem so, what I mean, like you've discovered so much about it, and yet at the same time, what I mean, like I assume that what, like you're pretty young, right? Like I actually don't know how old you are. Um how old are you if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 33.
33. Okay, so actually you're pretty close
Yeah.
to me. So you know what? Like at such a
Yeah.
young age, what I mean, like you seem to be very mature, right? And especially at this point, I'm sure that you will have a lot more to learn and find out, what I mean, about yourself as you continue, down this journey, in acting and, what I mean, performing and, the arts and all that stuff. I know I have. I've gone through a lot of uh, different things so far, but it's all
It
right
never
though.
ends.
Yeah, I know it doesn't. It doesn't. So all right. So you know what? So that's some pretty heavy shit in a good way. In a good way. That's some very methodical, very thought provoking stuff. But now I kind of want to turn it to a little bit different direction. So let's talk about dating. So I
Yes.
know that you have brought it up a little bit already, And you, when we were talking before the show, you asked me if there was anything I wanted to know specifically about your past dating life or whatever. I don't, because like the audience, I like to enjoy it from the same perspective. You know what I mean? Getting to know you for the first time with everyone else. So I have a question for you, and it's sort of like a question that I've asked other, especially like Asian men on this channel so far that I've had on this channel, and that is, when you, like you just said, when you started getting out there and started meeting basically like as many people as you could and trying to get yourself out there and whatnot, did you have any sort of, I don't want to say like quote unquote negative or unexpected, unfortunate incidents with anyone in regards to dating? Like, did anyone, did you meet anyone that was like super ignorant or close minded or racist? Did you have any sort of, did you meet anyone's family, perhaps, right? That was maybe a little bit more old fashioned, and maybe, their daughter, whatever, was not the same race as you. Maybe they, basically, I'm trying to say, have you ever gone through any shit like that? And then the second question would be on a more positive note. What do you think? What has been your most positive experience so far? I guess in terms of dating. So sort of questions on opposite ends of the spectrum there, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, my ex-girlfriend a couple years ago actually, she was Jewish. Her father was Orthodox Jewish, but so I was like never really going to be accepted into that like culture or religion as well. But you know what? Like there really is no offense to that because that's what they grew up with. You know, the offense that comes from that is what you make of it. Like there's 9 billion people in the world. If it doesn't work out with one person, then you know, just move on because that to force something that isn't meant to work out, it like there's no point in that type of relationship, you know. There's someone better suited out there for you. And in the end, you know, like I went out with my girlfriend at the time, even though her father was Orthodox Jewish and didn't want her to date anyone except another Jewish man. Um, she was still, you know, we still had that love for each other, and she still wanted to be with me. I mean, personality differences like came about, and that's why it didn't work out. But as far as like, you know, what her dad wanted, it was different from what she wanted. And I truly believe that's because I made her feel safe around me. As I was saying earlier, that's where I feel like relationships come from. Can you feel safe around this person? Do you guys have the same values? It's all an internal thing, you know? Um, a lot of good experiences as well. I've had a lot of the bad experiences and good experiences. I don't see it having to do with anything with my ethnicity, though. You know, I've been turned down many a times, but I've also gone out with many people and of different ethnicities also, like several different. And that's when I realized, like, wow, you know, that gave me the confidence to know that I used to have that thinking too about being Asian. It's that people don't think this about Asian men. It's that we're feeding into those stereotypes. And when you feed into those stereotypes and truly believe it in your head, it's going to manifest externally and people are going to see that. And that causes them to believe that, right? So if you feel like you're believing that, like oh, Asian men are all small and weak, like if you truly believe that in your head, you know, you're gonna like radiate that to the person that you're talking to, and then they're gonna believe that about you too, that you're weak and you can't protect them. So it's an internal thing, you know. And all the stuff in the media is probably solidifying also like those thoughts in Asian men, which is why it's like a consistent struggle and a self-realization battle every single day. But that's what makes you strong as a man, to continuously fight through all of these insecurities and step into courage and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's very sound advice. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, just I think it's important to discuss that, because because of sort of how much, what I mean, like how easily the media can influence people, including Asian men, to who might see this and might start to think, oh, I don't have a chance, or what I mean, they start to sort of get a little bit down on themselves or whatever. Like the media really does have an impact on people's thinking and whatnot. So um
Yeah.
people really sort of, yeah, it's important to sort of counter that with more encouraging positive thoughts. But yeah, Well, Josh, let's see here. So, okay, so I have a question. So, this being the AMBW channel, obviously we talk a lot about dating and relationships between
That's
Asian men
true.
and Black women. And so I'm only asking you this for on behalf of the women here. Are you currently in a relationship right now, or are you very much single right now?
I'm single.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Well, ladies, this man is single right here. So you take a look at him. Josh, turn to the side right now, and, so we can get like a profile shot. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, no, you guys, but you know what? No, real talk.
Yeah.
Josh seems like a really cool dude. Like I said, we have not worked together yet, but that will happen for sure. I haven't set a date for sure, but like I said, that's a big reason why I started this channel is because I wanted to make short films, you know what I mean, for this type of audience and content. And the script that, you and I are working on, you know what I mean, I don't want to necessarily give, things away or anything like that. But what would you say, Josh, that is, one script, is there an area or sort of a concept idea in there that you sort of in particular sort of just very much relate to, or sort of just like anything that sort of stands out to you in that regard?
Probably the I don't know if this will be giving something away then, but like I would have to say the courage that the character has in moving forward. It's very respectable and inspiring, and that alone will help you get to the place that you want to in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, that's fine, man. That didn't give anything away. It's actually a really, really short film. It might be the shortest script that I've written so far, but I feel like in that regard, especially if you guys watching this at home or whatever, if you've seen the other films, which if you haven't by now, what are you doing? Go check it out. That a lot of them, I like to end them on a cliffhanger because I like to sort of stretch the story out over a few short films. You know what I mean? I feel like that's sort of more realistic to life, also is not everything can be resolved right away. Some things sort of you have to let play out ultimately, and so I don't think you know what I mean. Like I don't. Yeah, this isn't. Well, it's kind of giving it away, but like this movie, it ends on a cliffhanger, so it doesn't necessarily end on a really down or happy note. It just sort of ends with the intention of possibly continuing on, which I think is really cool. And we did the read through with the other castmates the other day, which I thought
Yeah,
went really well. Honestly, it went a lot better than I thought it would because I was like very unsure. I was like, I don't know. This is the shortest script I've ever written. Like, how is it going to sound, out loud, read by actual people and
yeah,
whatnot? And for the first time, it was pretty good. It was very good. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil any of y'all like watching, but just know that something good is coming. So we're working on that. Um, well, Josh. So like I said, I'm going to wrap this up very quickly. But what
sure.
are three things? Two more questions, actually, a few more. So, the first question is, what are three things that Josh Ventura is looking for in a woman? And then the second one would be, what are actually, yeah, let's just stick with that first question for now.
You said three things. Three things. Um, Someone that cares about their health. Well, the reason why I'm saying all these things is because this is the way I live and my values. So someone that cares about their health and well-being, that includes spiritual as well. Um, Someone that has a goal or a passion that they truly believe in that they're fighting for. It could be anything. It could be for a family, for like just any concrete goal, but just as long as you have that drive. I love that, because it's like I could feel that in another person, and that's what gives me life also and inspires me. And three is just bad things happen in the world, and in daily life. You could see it that way, but I like someone that's more on the optimistic side and that uses these, downturns as a way to move up or move forward in life. So those are the
That's
qualities.
that's great. That's great, Josh. Thank you very much for that. All right, guys. Well, I had another question, but it it was actually film related, and I thought about it again. It actually would have given a lot away. So I can't ask that question, not yet.
Yeah,
Maybe afterwards, after it's posted and done and all that. But Josh, man, I want to thank you very much. I know you're a very busy guy, so thank you very much for chatting with us here on the AMBW channel.
sure. Yeah, it's good to
We
be
I
here.
definitely I definitely look forward to working with you in the future. And oh, you know what? Before we go, I do have one last question. This is for all the ladies at home watching. So Josh, if people want to follow you and get in touch with you potentially, where can people find you?
Okay, so I have an Instagram. You can follow me there. It's called Perpetual Happiness. Um, I'll just spell it out. It's Perpetual, and then happiness, Happiness. And then my name should be under that. It should say Josh V. That's me. You can follow me there. You can shoot me a message. For the guys, if you have any dating like questions, I could possibly help you out there. Just shoot me a question. I'll shoot you back. Ladies too, if you have any questions, I could do that for you. But I mean, again, mostly I'm in love with acting, so that's where my mindset is focused on. But I do care about like the common man and woman. So if you need help, I'm here for you. Like friends wise, hopefully we'll be working together again on something to help you guys out. And yeah, that's where you can reach me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Josh, again for dedicating the time. And everyone at home, please, like this stream, like this video. If you're watching it after the fact, watch it, and then like, and then comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit that notification bell so you can get notified anytime a new video like this pops up. But until then, everybody, including Josh, stay safe, be well, and I will catch you on the next interview, so next video. So. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
So, bye.